Hello, my name is Kate, and for this presentation, I will be informing you about what I have learned through my research on former President Obama's immigration policy known as Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or better yet known as DACA. I wanted to see how this immigration policy affected the lives of the undocumented students as they tried to pursue higher education. According to a newspaper called USA Today, of the 12.5 million undocumented people residing in America, 3.6 million of those are 3.6 million of them are children who were brought here before their 18th birthday. And of those millions of people residing here, only 800,000 people were protected under DACA and were given the title as Dreamers. These dreamers, or the documented youth, were given a chance to improve their lives and create a better future not only for themselves but for their families as well. And for the next few minutes, I want to focus my attention on the benefit and advantages that comes along with this policy, as well as the barriers that these undocumented youth face as they navigate through the educational institution. I'll be talking to you about the benefits of DACA and how it has changed the lives of many of these undocumented students for the better. For one, they can now come out of the shadows and live without fear of deportation. Also, the possibilities for their future has now widened as the thought of going to college, whether that be community college or a four-year university, has now become more plausible and more accessible. An article known as American Dreamer stated that 45% of DACA recipients are in school, and nearly three-quarters of those who are in school are pursuing a bachelor's degree or higher. And of the group that isn't currently in school, many have graduated. Furthermore, because they were given the means to legally work in this country, they are now able to support themselves financially, which gives them a higher possibility of completing school and attaining a degree. Also, according to American Dreamer, while DACA does not guarantee post-secondary educational benefits such as FAFSA, it has prompted a lot of states and counties to provide higher education benefits such as in-state resident tuition and in-district state tuition rates to DACA students. The aid also provided some, and the aid provided from these states affected the lives of these students tremendously. For some, it was through such aid that they were able to attend school and actually stay in it. A student named Bruha Buhid, who is a DACA student as well as a member of United We Dream, commented that before DACA, they didn't have much financial support and were not able to work to put themselves through school. But now the aid gave them more of a reason to pursue higher education. While DACA has improved the lives of many of these young, hopeful students by allowing college to become more accessible, barriers do continue to still exist. For one, the possibility to attend college may have increased, but the limited financial support from the government has discouraged some from applying. A passage from an article known as American Dreamer described that quote DACA students occupy a gray area. They have social security numbers, but they can't get federal assistance, which means that it's difficult to figure out which scholarships they're actually eligible for and where they do have to shoulder a full burden. Unquote. Along with financial worry, documented youth also face lack of support from school counselors. Encounter can be hard for these students because oftentimes the first place that students turn to when they seek assistance from faculty are the counselors. They come to these reliable sources for guidance and support, but for those who do not have a proper status, they often leave these offices with a less optimistic plan for the future. In the article known as Bridging Gap Guiding the College Search of Undocumented Students, it states that students have been discouraged by their counselor by relaying negative messages that constantly reminds them of their lack of legal status. Hearing such harsh statements, especially from people who's supposed to help us, can deter a lot of these students from pursuing their goals. Along with the lack of support, as well as financial struggle, limited knowledge within the educational institution affect dreamers in that they must navigate through college lost as they figure out how to survive by themselves. Also, by not being familiar with this immigration's policy, school faculty members can communicate wrong or misleading information. The information that I have presented can be applied in a sociology theory known as social interactionalism. This thought was established by Herbert Bloomer, who outlined that humans interact with things or with people based on meanings ascribed to them. The ascribed meanings of those things comes from our interactions with others and with society, and the meanings of things are interpreted by a person when dealing with things in specific circumstances. I applied this theory when looking at a communication between a DACA student and a counselor. I interpret it in a way that the responses some counselors have with these students when they are told, I don't have papers or I'm undocumented, are different depending on their past interactions or experiences they had during their lives. For some, they will associate students' lack of papers with negative perceptions and therefore project an unhelpful attitude, while others may help these students as much as they can in order for these students to succeed. Also, DACA students and students that hold legal permanent status can be categorized into two groups, the in groups and the out groups. The in group, also known as the powerful groups, are often the majority and hold certain privileges, while the out group, known who are known as the less powerful group, are often stigmatized. In this case, DACA students fall into the out group. They are often at a disadvantage because have a weak social capital. Most of these students are generation students, so their parents are not able to help them navigate through the higher education system since they aren't familiar with it. Therefore, most of them have to do it themselves. All in all, from all the information that I have discovered and learned through this research, I have found that DACA has become a second chance for many of these young recipients. This is because for those who aspire to become a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, or a teacher, it is actually now possible for them since they can go to college to attain a degree for the career that they want. This immigration policy has definitely changed the lives of many of these undocumented um, people for the better. And although they may have to face through hurdles that can hinder their path to success, as long as they have the determination and the resilience to pass through it, then they are one step closer to their goal.